Peter Ferarra with the Heartland Institute, heartland.org. He's a senior fellow for Entitlement and Budget Policy at the Heartland Institute and the author of America's Ticking Bankruptcy Bomb, heartland.org, the website. Heartland, INST, is the Twitter. And Peter, welcome back to the program.
Glad to be here.
You're the senior fellow for Entitlement. You are entitled to what?
I'm not entitled to anything except paying taxes, actually. Yeah.
All right. So you wrote this piece called The Disgrace of Obamonomics. I have not been able to figure out what Obamonomics is. How do you know what it is?
Well, it's published in the newspapers. I mean, it's part of the official U.S. government policy,
well, it's been compromised with the Republicans every time they want to do something, and in fact, in the most recent case, give them everything they want. John Boehner says, "Hey, I got 98% of what I want. I'm very happy." And what do the markets do? They go, "Oh."
We had 2 years of complete Democrat control in which they ran untrammeled to bring back the failed Keynesian economics of the 1970s, and that is what I call the disgrace of Obamonomics, because he should have known that did not work. It was proven not to work. It's a proven failure. Yet he play acts as if nothing has happened since 1980. He play acts as if Reaganomics never happened. There was never an economic boom, and he just makes believe like that all went down the memory hole.
Okay,
that's the disgrace of Obamonomics.
2 points there. The first one. Are you suggesting that when President Obama came into office and we were losing 800,000 jobs a month, that the roughly $500 billion stimulus bill, there was about $300 billion worth of tax cuts in there, which didn't do squat, but the $500 billion stimulus bill did absolutely nothing?
Yes, I said at the time, in fact, I predicted it would do absolutely nothing, because you don't just borrow $1 trillion out of the private system and spend $1 trillion back into the private system. That doesn't do anything to create jobs on net, and hence...
Why not?
Well, because when you take $1 trillion out and you take $1 trillion out of your right pocket and put $1 trillion in your left pocket, you're not any richer.
That's not how it works, Peter.
Economics is.
That's not how it works.
Yes, that is how it works.
The way it works is...
it never produces anything.
The way it works is you take $500 billion... First of all, it wasn't $1 trillion. It was $500 billion. Maybe we can split the difference of $600 billion.
A year earlier, which was... I harshly criticized him in the book for doing the same thing.
Let's just talk about the point here, Peter. Just the point. The point is, if you take $500 billion and you put it in people's pockets and put them to work building roads in Michelle Bachmann's district, because she asked for this stimulus money, and those people build roads in her district, they then take that paycheck and they go out and they buy clothes with it, they buy toys for their kids, they pay their mortgage, and then those toy stores and those clothing stores and that mortgage banker, the mortgage banker relends it, the toy store hires somebody. Money in the economy from working people has a stimulative effect that goes just beyond the $1.
Where did that money come from in the first place? You see, when you take it out of the private
I'm acknowledging that money was borrowed.
You have that multiplier in reverse, so the net is zero, and that's why we didn't get
it wasn't taken out of the private sector.
Well, where does it come from? The tooth fairy? I know you guys have a
No,
tooth
it was
fairy there on the
borrowed.
left.
It was borrowed. If it came out of the private sector, it would have been taxes. I think it should have come out of the private sector, because the private sector is sitting on $2.5 trillion in the United States and $1.5 trillion overseas that they're doing absolutely nothing with. And if we had taxed them and taken that tax money and said, okay, we're going to use this money to put these people to work, like Franklin Roosevelt did, like Dwight Eisenhower did, the Republican president, like Richard Nixon did, then I think we would have seen some stimulus.
When you do it by taxing, then you actually have a net negative, because you take the $1 trillion out of the private sector.
Only if you tax working people.
Into the private sector, but the tax has a disincentive effect, so that reduces investment, so you end up with a net negative on the economy. And that is what has happened every time Keynesian economics has been tried.
So you believe in the billionaire fairies?
In America and around the world. It never was worked one time. So it should be illegal to teach it in universities.
You believe it actually has worked every time. And please... let me flip this around, Peter. Please identify for me one country in the history of the world that has successfully cut their way to prosperity. Just one.
I didn't come prepared with a history lesson today. But,
you're asserting that the way to solve our economic problem is to cut our way to prosperity. I'm just asking for one example.
Answer your question, please. Can I answer your question?
Sure. One country, please.
College, 1921. That's what they would have had the Great Depression in 1921 if they had done Roosevelt economics then. But instead, it lasted 10 months because they just cut government spending. That was just in the Wall Street Journal in the last week. They went through the history of that 1920, 1921 recession. They responded to it by cutting government spending, and the economy boomed within a year, as has traditionally happened in America. The recovery is long overdue.
Peter?
It should have come 2 years ago.
Do you know what happened in 1921?
The stronger the recovery. We should be in the second year of booming economy. We're not. Obama should be impeached and then brought to trial for
Peter, calm down. You know what happened in 1920? 21? We had just finished World War I.
What happened in 1920? I know what happened.
So when you finish World War I, of course, you're going to cut government spending because you're dialing back your military. But it was not an intentional policy to stimulate the economy.
Well, I have some breaking news for you. World War I ended in 1919, not 1921.
Yeah, well, it takes a year or two to wind down your military machine.
He came into office. He cut. Look at the article.
When Harding came into office,
the past 2 weeks. Go read it. Coolidge responded to it by cutting government spending.
It wasn't Coolidge. It was Harding.
In a year.
Harding was the president in 1921.
Economics. It's a free market principle. It's worked every time it's been tried. Keynesian economics has never worked. In America and around the world, free market economics has worked every time it's
Peter,
been tried.
I hate to break it to you, but there are no billionaire fairies. What happened in 1921 was that when Harding came into office, he dropped the top tax rate, which had been there to in part to make sure that there were no war billionaires from World War I. He dropped the top tax rate from 90% to 25%. What that did was it created an enormous amount of hot money, as happens every time the top tax rate on billionaires goes below 50%. That hot money created a real estate speculation boom where you saw the prices of real estate, particularly in Florida, New York, and California, triple every year. From 1922 to 1926, that when that bubble burst in late 26 and early 27, that real estate bubble burst, that started putting the banks in trouble, and that set up the great crash of 1929. What Harding and Coolidge did, and then Hoover inherited, what those three Republicans did was they created a bubble the exact same way that George W. Bush created a bubble, and arguably the same way that Ronald Reagan created a bubble, although he made it even worse by borrowing three times twice the debt that he came into office with, taking us to $3 trillion in debt, trying to make the economy look good.
When you cut the tax rate, you give the people incentive for increased production because you allow them to keep a higher percentage of what
So
they
you
produce.
absolutely believe in the Republican
that logic.
billionaire
I know,
fairies.
that's why you should not even be talking about economics.
Okay.
You can't understand that simple economic logic. You really should just talk about
Peter, you're right. I don't understand that logic.
Baseball and football because
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Peter Ferarra, Heartland.org. Peter, thank you for dropping by today and educating me.